Hello once again and welcome to Astrology. This is your continuing tarot series, but join me for your Patra readings, your birth charts or Kundali. Visit zedamastrology.com or send me a line at zeta55@outlook.com. Okay, Earth Trine, this is your reading for the period September 12th to the 30th, 2022. And your first card that comes up for this reading is the Tree of Earth. And the Tree of Earth tells you about the situation that you are facing in regards to your finances, your career, your relationship. And the Tree of Earth is actually the Tree of Pentacles, which is shared teamwork, goals, collaboration. It speaks to the planning and competence that you are being creative about. It speaks to recognition of high quality work, in being a team player, in being a collaborator. And the Three of Pentacles meaning in a tarot reading is about overcoming the impossible. This card is one of 3 cards in the tarot deck that focus on the group, the others being the Three of Cups and the Hierophant of the major arcana. So the situation with you is that it's telling you to be part of a team, collaborate, understand the power of creativity, understand of overcoming the impossible. The possibilities are there based on your effort, based on pooling your energy, your shared goals. The Tree of Earth is giving you that situation where it's telling you, here what, you can't do it all by yourself. Let us form some kind of collaboration. Let us form some kind of team that will help us with our relationship, that will help us with our finances and our career. And that is the situation that you are in. And what is the heart of the situation? What caused this to happen? What caused this to become your hopes and fears? It's the Three of Air or the Three of Swords. And they speak about heartbreak. It speaks about separation. So that probably, the Three of Swords can be constructive or destructive. And in this way, it's telling you to be constructive, not destructive. Take time to heal. Take time to understand that, yes, you tried it on your own, but it just wasn't happening. You tried it on your own for a period of time for that you wanted to achieve goals and financial stability, and you wanted to heal. And, it just couldn't happen because you needed help. You needed counseling, you needed support, you needed some kind of partnership that will give you a new perspective, that will give you that time to understand that, the conflicts are there for you to grow with. The conflicts, the upset, the loss, it can be there because you needed to feel that loss to understand that you cannot do it by yourself. That the heart of the situation is that you try to go it alone, and you shouldn't. You should seek help through some kind of relationship, some kind of partnership. It is at this time that you need to use your head and not get swayed by emotion. It's easier said than done, indeed, because the emotional pain is so intense it can actually translate to physical discomfort. But even then, do your best to be logical about the situation and prepare yourself for the big wave that's about to come. One way to do this is to realize that grief and pain are natural parts of life, of living, of your routine day-to-day trudging through, whatever obstacles or successes that you may have. How can you appreciate real joy and happiness unless you know the agony of pain and sorrow? It is through these excruciating times that they teach you not to repeat the same mistakes again. You can only learn through pain, as they say, and you wouldn't make those mistakes again. So that this tarot card depicts the kind of suffering that will make you stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever. There are times that life brings you to your knees, but it doesn't totally knock you out. It knocks you down, but then you learn to get up. You learn that no matter how many times you fall, the times that you get up is what counts, so that you can either lay there and stay in the rut that finally, allows you to dwell in the past and think about it and let people feel sorry for you, or you can focus on the future knowing that you have total control of your life. So there's no point in dwelling on the past. Um, and you should, think about determining your own fate. And this is what the Tree of Air is telling you. You have tried it on your own with the Three of Earth. It has brought you a little bit of sorrow and despair because you needed that collaboration. You needed that um, letting go of emotions from the past and thinking. You need to think logically and um, rationally at this point in time. And what should your attitude be, or what it is going to give you that attitude that will help you in this case or destroy you. And let us see. It is the Eight of Air, which is the Eight of Swords. And it card tells you it's an illusion of being trapped, a lack of self-confidence, afraid to take action because you are kind of paralyzed by fear and terror. You're feeling the pressure, you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling powerless, you're feeling that you are restricted. But this is just a feeling, it's an illusion. You are not imprisoned, you are facing the consequences of your own action, but it's all in your mind. You have negative attitudes, and it's like psychological issues. And the Eight of Swords tarot card meaning is about, yes, it's about restriction, limitations, or being bound to something. But it's a card to let you know that you will have your freedom again soon and that there are no real obstacles in your path. Because the card tells you an illusion of being trapped. And the Eight of Swords, it's not as easy as you think because it's hard to get away from psychological issues and negative issues when you think about it, or when you wallow in your misery, as we say. You cloak yourself in this misery of restrictions and limitations. But the Eight of Swords is being restrained mentally. It can be a self-imposed limitation or restriction. It's not that anybody is limiting you or that the circumstances are limiting you. It's a self-imposed restriction because you have no self-confidence. That your thoughts and emotions are tied up in a situation that have you emotionally trapped in a time or a thought that doesn't do anything for you. You may feel that you are locked into staying somewhere where you don't have to do anything or that you can't change anything. But this is just an illusion, so that your character needs a little kick, a little um a little invention, a little passion. So what is the advice that the guides are going to tell you? What is the advice and the timing? It's coming from the Hermit, and the outcome is the Four of Earth. And the Hermit here is telling you, spend some time in quiet meditation, spiritual teaching, and self-discovery. And the Hermit is all about wisdom. It's all about soul searching. It's all about not meditation, probably, to understand the divine order of where you're at and what it is you're about. And the Hermit is taking that journey on yourself, taking it by yourself, so that you could communicate with the divine spirits to understand why you are feeling that solitude and that need for spiritual enlightenment. And in an upright position, the Hermit is it's a compelling card. It's a beacon of light that guides the ship to shore. And this Hermit or this sage is ushering a period of personal growth and exploration. The Hermit represents wisdom earned by seeking the highest truth. And you can only gain that highest truth when you reflect inside of yourself, when there is inner peace. And the Hermit card is that you are able to recognize a teacher in a humble disguise. So, don't look for a teacher of a professor or a lecturer. It might be somebody on the street who is passing, or somebody who is sitting on a bench in the park with you, that, it will be easy for you to acquire wisdom through them because they have had the experience and been through it, so that it's your ability to recognize the teacher that will be your construction or your personal growth for this period. And sometimes the communication might be communicating with the elements itself. You sit down and you just take in nature, you walk barefoot on the grass, you look at the trees, you look at the animals, and as it is, while an hourglass is an identifying feature in the earliest modern tarot, or the tarot cards of the earlier times, um, more of the modern cards have shifted the metaphor, showing more or less a light being released from a lantern of the hermit, But in either case, the hermit card reminds us of the value of time away from the hubbub of routine daily life, of relaxing your ego, and the need for you to communicate with nature. The challenge of the hermit card is being able to recognize the humble gurus, and at the end of the day, you need to relax your ego, you need to commune, you need to take that time so that the illusion of being trapped, you would see it for what it is. And this hermit card is guided by the archangel Raziel, so that you also have the major arcana coming to you through this card, that is telling you at the end of the day, this is the guidance that they are going to give you. And as we see there, the Four of Earth is the answer. It's going to be the resolution. And this is the Four of Pentacles, where you want to hold on to people and possessions, and you have a need to control, a need to hoard. You're kind of very possessive about your financial stability and security, and you are saving for the big purchases, forgetting that it is the small things in life that add up and that can give you that happiness, so that your materialism at this point might be the outcome. But the Four of Pentacles represents resistance to change. Your life is surrounded by a kind of stinginess, a kind of greed. And as a result, your need for control is affecting your progress. So that while you try to do it on your own, the cards are now telling you you need collaboration, you need teamwork, and that you are being kept back by your own illusion of being trapped. And the hermit is there, the archangel is there, and the outcome is that you're a little bit greedy, you're a little bit stingy, you're only looking at the big picture and you're not looking at what is right in front of you. You are stuck in this material world that you cannot see a way out, and now is the time to remember that change is hard, but resisting change is even harder, so that the Four of Pentacles can indicate that you are holding on to past issues, that they are affecting your ability to process, to think logically, to think reasonably, and that you may be trying too hard to cling on to your possessions that are giving you a sense of security. But that sense of security is just fleeting, and that you need to understand that you can obstruct your own progress by keeping to yourself, and that your greed might be an obstacle for you moving forward. But let's look at a clarity on this reading, and it's coming from Iset, the goddess Iset, who's telling you to surrender. And it's a life of magic and a symbol actually of both life and magic. Surrender your feelings of, and that illusion of not being who you could be or who you want to be. Iset is telling you surrender. It's the wisdom, a force of life, and a shadow at the same time. And Iset works constantly to thwart the schemings of her fellow shadow lords, who are more destructive or absolute in nature. You know, she's fighting against the tradition, the divine order. And this is the hermit. The hermit is telling you, take some time for yourself, understand the potency and the prophecy and the manifestation of surrendering. And Iset is the patroness of women and children, and the honored protector of marriage and vows of love. She's the ultimate wife and mother, and she uses her wisdom and sorcery to strengthen ancestral bonds and manifest personal change that will bless the world. So surrender your greed, surrender your need for control, surrender your stinginess. And the next clarity card we're seeing here is sacrificial offerings. And it comes from chapter 3, verse 13 in the Bhagavad Gita. And this verse tells you that at the end of the day, the spiritual minded who eat food that is first offered in sacrifice are released from all kinds of sins. Others who cook food for their own enjoyment verily eat only sin. So the commentary here is telling you, you know, in the Vedic tradition, food is cooked with the consciousness that the meal is for the pleasure of God. A portion of the food items is put aside in a plate, and a verbal or mental prayer is made for the Lord to come and eat it. After this offering, the food in the plate is considered prasad, you know, it's the grace of God. And all the food in the plate and the pots is then accepted as God's grace and eaten in that consciousness, so that your sacrificial offering first to God will give you prasad, will give you the divine meal that comes from God. And other religious traditions follow similar customs. You know, Christianity has the sacrament of the Eucharist, where bread and wine are consecrated and then partaken. You know, and in the prasad, you find that where that food is first offered as a sacrifice to God, it releases you from your sin, and it releases you from feeling guilty about eating, because you have made the offering, you have given part of what you have cooked for yourself to others. So this is what the three of air was telling you at the beginning, Earth Trine, that you can't do it all by yourself. You need divine intervention. You need the help of others. In this case, it's telling you, seeks God's blessings or make sacrificial offerings to others, not only God, but make sacrificial offerings to others, so that you can feel the divine message and get prasad from God, or as we say it in the Caribbean, prasad. And you know, that halwa, or that divine eating of the meals that we offer to God on, or to Bhagwan on the Tariya when we do our prayers. So this is a message for you, Earth Trine, and understand the messages are coming for your fulfillment and your growth and development. As you know, here at Zidam Astrology, I always thank Bhagwan, because I am springing out with these videos from the help and guidance of God. And at the end of the day, I will always thank him for guiding me and allowing me to bring a message to you. I pray that you will always remain healthy, happy, and safe until I see you the next time. I have made some changes at Zidam Astrology to bring you a tutorial or tutorials that follow this final slide here. Well, it's not the final slide, obviously, but 3 slides follow here. It's a tutorial if you are interested in understanding my reasoning as to bringing you the trine concept in my tarot readings rather than the individual concept like many others. I believe in what I do. I believe in sharing. I believe in transferring knowledge. So if you are interested in understanding why I do what I do, there are 3 slides in which I will be guiding you as to how I think and why I think the way that I do. Thank you for sticking with me. Thanking you for understanding my methods. I hope that you sign up, share, and subscribe. Until next time. This is the trine concept for the Earth, which includes Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And you know, the Earth is stable, practical, and sensible. And the Earth signs have patience, and they prefer to wait, letting things happen in their own time, you know, instead of pushing the matter. This can make them stuck in their ways at times, and they can be the most closed off of the signs. They prefer to have a calm, stable life and are the most hardworking of the trines in the zodiac. The earth signs are Taurus, which is the most immovable, stubborn, Virgo, which is the most practical, and Capricorn, which is the hardest worker of the three. So that here we have the earth signs where they keep it real. You know, they are the grounded people on the planet, the ones who bring us down to earth and remind us to start with a solid foundation. Slow and steady. These are the builders, and they are loyal and stable, and they stick by their people through thick and thin, you know, we see through hard times even. You know, on the good days they are practical, at the worst they can be materialistic or too focused on the surface of the things to dig a little more deeper to get to the root of the issue. So this is the Earth trine, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Okay, this is your tutorial. As I mentioned to you in this video, that I'm going to leave a tutorial so that you can see why I have formulated the trine concept to read horoscopes at Zedam Astrology rather than read individual signs from Aries to Pisces for you. And I've found in my research and in my reading and from my teachings that there are commonalities between the tarot and the Kundali, which is your birth chart in Vedic astrology. So that these are the commonalities that have aligned together, that have created a method that will utilize the tarot and Vedic astrology to read and analyze for you in the trine concept. And this is a Kundali or birth chart taken randomly on somebody born on April 21st, 2022 at 6 a.m. And this person's birth chart or natal placements are here for you to see that these are the placement. This is the fate of this person. This is the ascendant or lagna, as we say in Vedic astrology, where we say this is the first house of the 12 houses in the zodiac sign. So wherever the ascendant or lagna falls is where we denote in Vedic astrology your first house. And in this particular chart we go clockwise from Aries to Pisces so that we'll know where your first to 12th house falls. So your first house is Aries, your 12th house will be Jupiter. And each house in Vedic astrology denotes something. It denotes your wealth, your family, your siblings, your relatives, your children, your marriage, your father, your mother, your work, your career, your community, your luck, your spirituality, your illnesses, whether it's chronic or routine, you know, how you will earn your money, how you will lose your money, a multiplicity of things. And each of these houses has its significations that we read for you in Vedic astrology. So this is your natal chart. This is your fate. You cannot change the positioning of these planets in your Kundali, because this is the placement of the planets when you were born, the time you were born, and the place you were born. However, you cannot change fate, but you can change destiny. And destiny comes from the transit of the planets, because each of these planets, they move from one sign to the next during particular periods. And you can change your destiny through your freedom of expression and will, through your ambition, through your courage, so that you can change destiny. You can't change fate. And the transit of planets will give you a chance to change your destiny. And transits, planets move, as we see here, Saturn every 2.5 years, and so on and so forth. This is how planets move from one sign to the next. Neptune takes 14 years to move from one sign to the next. Mercury takes 1 month. Sun takes 1 month. And you will see these are the 12 planets that I deal with at Zedam Astrology, so that they are the ones that I look at and how they move. And every placement of a planet in a particular sign says something, does something, has an aspect on your natal planet, and it throws out potential or a pathway for you to understand what can be happening. You know, it is the natal chart is a map of what the sky was like on the day for us to know ourselves and to better understand the types of energy we have available for each moment and situation in life. And because of the transits where destiny can be changed, we can say that this placement is not decisive, but it shows options and it marks pathways in which we can utilize to make choices during our lifetime. And then we have the source code of astrology, and that FEAW is basically fire, earth, air, and water. Those are the trines that I look at, and the 4 elements are the source code of astrology, and they are the blueprint of your soul. You know, you become the architect of your destiny by using this blueprint of our soul. And the blueprint of our soul, one of the trines that I use, because it's the foundation, you know, one of the trines that I use is the Dharma Trikona. And the Dharma trine tells you that, you know, this is the trine that keeps us on the soul's mission, the accumulated merit and the manifestation of past karma. And this 159 denotes the houses 1, 5, and 9. And as you see, we have fire, earth, air, and water trines. So this is the source code of astrology. And tradition holds that religious duty, or dharma, is the primary aim of human life, since it is the foundation which you develop your wisdom and your discretion to pursue wealth, which is artha, which is another trine, happiness, karma, which is a third trine, and we pursue these wealth and happiness from the wisdom we get from dharma, so that we will not compromise our chances of liberation, which is moksha, which is the 4th trine. But I use the 1st trine because it is the foundation, it is the primary aim of your birth on this earth. And Hinduism describes the Dharma trine as the natural universal laws whose observance enables us to be contented and happy and to save ourselves from degradation and suffering. So that Dharma is the moral law combined with spiritual discipline that guides our life. You know, and this is what the Dharma trine is. And I'm just going to pull up another version of the zodiac circle, the 12 signs, and I'll just give you an example, so that this random Kundali or birth chart gives you Aries as the ascendant, and with Aries as the ascendant, that will be the 1st house. The 1st house will be Aries, the 5th house will be Leo, and the 9th house will be Sagittarius, and this is the trine. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius is the fire trine. And with the fire trine, even if your first bhava is Leo, then Leo will be your 1st house, Sagittarius will be your 5th, and Aries will be your 9th. You will still remain in that trine if your ascendant moves from Aries to Leo or Sagittarius. And remember, your ascendant moves every 2.5 hours every day from one zodiac sign to the next in Vedic astrology. And then we have the Earth Trine, and the Earth Trine can begin with Taurus, and if it begins with Taurus, then you would have as your fifth house, you will have Virgo, as your 9th house, you will have Capricorn, and this is your Earth Trine. Then your Air Trine will be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. That is your Air Trine. And obviously your Water Trine will then be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, so that all your signs are taken care of there, as you see. So these are the trines. And why I do the horoscope in trines is because Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, when one is activated, each of these are activated because they are in a trine. They are in a dharma trine, a dharma, where your duty, where your vision, where your wisdom are all created for you to understand that first house is you are born, then 5th house is your children, and the 9th house is your father. So you get the circle of evolution. Your father produces you with your mother helps you throughout your life. When you are an adult, then you produce children, and that is where you get this circle of evolution. So that the dharma trine here is what connects each of these 3 signs in the zodiac. And then we have the tarot deck, and the tarot deck as we know it has wands, pentacles, swords, and cups. And you will see that the wands is with fire, the pentacles is earth, and swords are air, and cups are water. So that here now we have the commonality between the tarot deck and the zodiac astrology, the source code of astrology. So that this is what I find with the commonalities. There are so many other things that I can speak about, but this is the basic. This is the basic. And if we have to talk about, a tarot spread, that my go-to tarot spread is the Tetractys. And the Tetractys tarot spread comes from that Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who threw out for us the Pythagoras theorem. And he can be viewed as a Vedic Brahmin, because 3 of the things he did or believed in was that he wore white exclusively, he was a vegetarian, and he believed in reincarnation. And his theorem existed in the Sanskrit texts in India. So that there we have the commonality again. And then even so, the tarot deck, the fire is clubs, pentacles is diamonds, swords is aligned to spades, and cups is aligned to hearts. So this is where we get the commonalities. This is where I can utilize a union of tarot and Vedic astrology to bring you a complex issue, but a different take on reading your birth chart, because you cannot live by yourself, you weren't born by yourself, and you can't grow up by yourself. There is a community, and that community brings the trine, so that you feel comfortable if you are in the fire trine with people from Leo and Sagittarius if you were born in Aries. Likewise, it goes so for the other trines. So this is my research, this is my method that I use, and I hope I was clear, complete, and concise. I ask that you share, sign up, and subscribe, review my videos, look at my transit series, and I will join you next time. Thank you so much. The trines synergy in Vedic astrology and tarot is given here, showing you the alignment of the houses 1, 5, 9 that makes up the trine, any way you count it or check it or review it. And it also introduces the kendras, the houses of Lord Vishnu, and these are the houses 1, 4, 7, and 10 in Vedic astrology. Again, you can get further details on this or an explanation in my previous videos.